Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I am the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today we had Field Mcconnell in the house, everybody. He will be speaking about the USS Liberty. So if you have a question for Field, please feel free to raise your hand, and I will unmute mics at some point in this podcast. Or if you can't speak, there is his logo on the wall. You can write your question underneath the comment section over there on the wall. Also, too, please, everybody, I cannot implore you enough to be careful who you listen to, who you follow. I literally, I tell you, I sit in these spaces for you guys to let you know, and these people are getting called out left and right. We are seeing who they are, they're exposing themselves, and it's crazy. I sat in a couple spaces over the weekend while I was doing things around the house, working out, whatever it was. And I'm telling you what, I feel like I was dizzy. I got dumber listening to this stuff because it's just the division, the divide, the hate against Trump, the so-called MAGA Trumpers saying they support him. Now that it's just horrible, everybody. So please be careful because I can tell you, I told the space holder that held that one of those over the weekend. I said, man, I got dizzy listening to that, and I really feel like I just got dumber listening to it. So everybody, please be careful who you listen to and who you follow. And I'm going to highly encourage everybody, because even though that's, kind of it's a real thing, the things that people are doing out there, it is a negative thing, yes, but there's so much positive going on. There's a lot of noise out there, everybody, but we are getting confirmation and vindication of the things that we have been saying for so long, everybody. So you all should be so excited and so proud. The fact that Donald Trump shot out on True Social that Joe Biden has been shot in 2020. I mean, he's been telling us, everybody, at his rallies for so long. He's been shot. He doesn't know where he's at. He's been shot. Like, everybody, you have to listen to Donald Trump, because he is telling us without directly telling us. He has been saying so much to us, everybody. I just have the chills. I'm commending Derek Johnson. I'm commending all of the truthers out there that have put their forefoot forward and put their lives on the line to say the truth. So everybody, I want to congratulate all of you, because it's because of you that my podcast and all these other podcasts that you listen to can exist if they are telling the right things, right? So I want to say thank you for that, everybody, because we are winning this battle, and it's super exciting. Although, unfortunately, there is this divide and this hate going on. You just have to stay out of that noise. And I do believe as the days, the weeks, the months come, we're through the summer, we're going to see it's going to get more intense. So please prepare your minds, everybody, for what is coming. I can't tell you exactly what's coming. I'm talking to Ronald Savin in the background right now. I'm trying to get him on next Wednesday. So I know there's a video servicing that from Dr. Martin about a potential new pandemic coming in July 4th. I think that was the date. Of course, you guys know me, I don't do dates, but I have that on the wall. I have the actual video from Dr. Martin and the podcast he did, as well as the transcripts that talk about these potential viruses. Don't be fearful, because I asked Juan about it, and he said, a lot of threats out there, but not in this particular way. So whatever it may be, just be knowledgeable about it. Be aware. Don't be fearful. Be aware. Okay, everybody? Because we are winning this war. The same thing with the Stargate situation, everybody. Everybody's freaking about this Project Plantaire. Remember, Trump has it all. They caught them all. They're going to use their plan, their tool that they were going to use on us, and use it for them. They're going to catch them and get all the illegals and everything wherever they're at. So just everybody, just stay focused. Stay eyes on God, everybody, because everybody is flipping the narrative. Look at what they did when the scripted question came through to Trump about him pardoning P. Diddy. He never said he was going to do that. He said he didn't know. He'd have to look at it if somebody was being mistreated. He's a man of law and order, everybody. He's not into the P. Diddy case right now. He hasn't been asked to pardon him. He said Diddy liked him before he ran for president, but then he said some horrible things about him since. So you really got to listen to the words. Words matter. And a lot of people out there are nothing but word salads. So stay out of that noise, everybody. I care about you, and this stuff is going on, and I'll sit in these spaces for you and come back and I'll give you an update, because For me, I just laugh about it, but I'll tell you what, I can understand how somebody can get mind screwed by listening to these if their mind's not right. So just be careful, everybody. Also, too, I'm going to say this again regarding my channel because of all of this stuff that is happening and all the trolls and all the disruptors, and they're like I said, they're being called out. They're showing themselves, right? The more they talk, the more they show themselves. So I protect my channel. Okay. So if you come in here, you request to come in the channel, you get approved. I'm glad you're here. I welcome you. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to leave, great. But what I am seeing, everybody, I'm seeing a lot of people come in and request, and within a couple hours they've left. They're requesting to come back again, or within a day, within a 2 day. So to me, that is a red flag to me, and I'm going to do my best. I know I can't keep them all out of here, but I'm going to do my best to protect my channel, myself, my guests, you as the members, because what's happening out there is the stories I'm getting from people being, taken for their livelihood. I got another one last week. Absolutely horrifying. I'm doing the best I can, everybody, to get back to you guys' messages. But remember, I'm one person, and there's only so much I can do. So, I'll do my best to try to refer you guys someplace or get the information somewhere else. But again, I'm a podcaster, and I just, I'm one person. So bear with me, but just be careful, everybody. If you get somebody reaching out to you saying they're me, pretending to be me, no, I will not ever reach out to you. Ask if you're ready for the scare event, your finances, crypto, anything like that. Please block, report, let me know so I can make sure they're not here on the channel. Also, to everybody, if you have a story or a journey to tell, I have created a specific email for your stories and journeys that you want to have showcased on the podcast. And that is TROA submissions at yahoo.com. So TROA stands for the Revival of America. So remember, everybody, submissions are TROA submissions at yahoo.com for the stories and the journeys to be submitted on the show to have your stories heard. But if you have an email you want to send me because you're concerned about something, and you can send that to the Revival of America at yahoo.com. Okay, everybody. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew that because I was getting so many submissions. It was just getting caught up in my regular email. Also, to everybody, I know this is long, my PSAs, but I have to tell you this because this is the stuff that's going on. A lot of great stuff. A lot of it's repetitive, but it's continuing. So, also to follow us on the podcast host, everybody, or the social medias. We are being listened to in over 100 countries, so we are making some noise. Podcast hosts are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Riverside, and Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny Jareed Facebook at Jenny_Jareed X at Jareed Rumble at Jareed True Social at Jareed Instagram. The Revival of America right here on Telegram, and the Revival of America on YouTube. And then last but certainly not least, I'm trying to do better. I think I'm doing a little bit better over on TikTok at the official J Jareed. I'm doing just little shorts over there, everybody. So mainly about the show lineups. So also to everybody, all of my social medias are verified, and I'm doing that for you guys so you know that those are my legitimate accounts, except for YouTube, True Social. I don't know why that's taken so long, and then TikTok. So bear with me. As soon as I get those verified, I'll let you know. But those are my legitimate accounts, what I just told you. Okay. And then sign up for the newsletter, everybody, if you haven't already, so you can get the latest updates on the podcast and the show lineup, weekly show lineup. And that's the revivalofamerica.com. And I think that's it. So everybody, I want to tell you again how much I appreciate you and thank you for continuing to want to know the truth and continuing this fight with this, because you come in here, you show your participation, whether you ask questions or you just listen, show the information. Again, it's you guys are all a part of this my journey as well. So thank you. We are winning this war, but everybody needs to stay focused on God, because at the end of the day, this is God's war, and we are winning, and we will win. But we're going to see some hiccups, so just be prepared for that. So with that, everybody, we do have Field in the house. Field's show from Friday, we're pushing it to next Monday on Waco and the Branch Davidian in Oklahoma bombing. So that will be next Monday. We had some technical difficulties on Friday, so we will be doing that show on Monday. So with that, I would like to say hello to Field. How are you?
Well, I think I'm okay. I'm working on my voice, and I might be getting old because a couple hours ago I went into my barber for a 10 o'clock, or maybe no, 11 o'clock haircut, and I parked at the wrong house, and I didn't realize I was at the wrong house until it was almost too late. And then I saw that the real house was next door. So I went over, and then I got another surprise that would indicate I'm being too busy, which is okay. It sort of comes with my lack of job. But, I'm going to go get my haircut after today's show. Even though I wasn't supposed to have it today, I was supposed to have it next Monday. But I think I may be out of Plum City next Monday, but I still will have access to your show. And you had some earth-shattering news that you alluded to, and I'd like to shatter you now with some more earth-shattering news if you're ready to intake a little. It's going to be a very short intake.
Yeah, yes, I'm ready for that, Phil. But real quickly, I forgot to let everybody know. I apologize. Dallas, we had his show last week, but he got a very important call. He's coming on Wednesday to let us know what that call was. It was one of the calls that he's been waiting for, everybody. So he may have some good news for us to share on Wednesday. So yes, Field, go ahead with your earth-shattering news. Let's do it.
Okay, well, and by the way, for your listeners, what I'm going to tell, let's see, who am I talking to? Oh, yes, Jenny. Yeah, I'm going to tell Jenny something, and the listening audience is going to see her surprise. I've started a list myself, and as you know, Jenny, my name is Field, Field, McConnell, Mcconnell. And this list, and it's a competition only for listeners on Jenny's show. And I'm starting a list of the top 10 treasons committed by presidents in the history of the United States of America. And I will adjust as other traitors get nominated. But as for now, the top four are 9/11 was a treason, and the four perpetrators, including the president, George H.W. Bush, have been dealt with by the military white hats and tribunals. The second greatest treason that I'm aware of was the intentional shootdown of Extortion 17, the helicopter in Afghanistan. And the president who authorized the killing of 38 men and a SEAL dog was Obama, except for just like every other word out of his mouth, his name is not Obama. He's nothing but a PA, and I'll explain that later, maybe. But his name is not Obama. His name is Barry Soetoro, and he was born at Peace Arch Hospital in a picturesque waterfront town in British Columbia, which I always forget the name of it, but it can be Googled. And I have a friend that has the name. Then a surprise addition at position number 3. And as information comes in from Jenny's listeners to me, however you might get it to me, the topic for today is the number 3 treason against the United States of America. So before I take a cup of hot water and honey for my voice, let me try to be real clear in accusing Lyndon Baines Johnson of treason in his authorized attack on the USS Liberty, which was an intelligence gathering ship. And if anybody doesn't like strong language, go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen, because I'm going to quote LBJ verbatim in a conversation he had with the leaders of the Navy, which means the Chief of Naval Operations and also the Secretary of Defense. And in that vulgar exchange, LBJ said, "I want you to put that goddamn ship on the ocean floor." Now, that goddamn ship had 274 American sailors on board, and he wanted the ship to be sunk because he wanted to enter the war, the 6-day war that Israel was already winning against 3 nations in the Mideast. And so what we have, after you guys have a chance to consume this, what you have is the president, LBJ, authorizing the Israeli Air Force to attack the USS Liberty in hopes of sinking it. But just to show how demented, that's my choice of words. I mean, and I think he was demented. He's the president of the US and he's ordering the murder, the premeditated murder of 274 US sailors by the nation of Israel. And it gets worse. Israel concealed their attack somewhat. They didn't get it done, by the way. That's a good news because some military White House TF'd them. And if you don't know what TF'd them is, you'll figure it out. The Israelis, when they attacked the USS Liberty on the 8th of June of 1967, all of their aircraft that attacked were painted in Egyptian paint jobs and Egyptian lettering and numbering. And the only fly in the ointment was the USS Liberty was an intelligence gathering ship, and they picked up the conversations by the attacking fighters that were supposedly Egyptian, which they weren't. They were Israeli fighters, and the pilots were speaking Yiddish. And I don't think the 3 Mideast countries that were at war with Israel, I don't think any of those countries spoke Yiddish. So these people were not too smart. And just to show you how evil LBJ was, and if anybody related to LBJ is offended at the truth of that guy coming out, remember my name and don't blame it on anybody else. Jenny didn't know I was going to talk about this today. So here goes. LBJ was so adamant about killing 274 Liberty crewmen that he had a backup plan just in case Israel screwed up the attack, which they did. They did attack the Liberty, and they attacked it with rockets and also napalm. And of the 34 individuals that died on the ship that day, it's very likely, and I'll find out because I was hoping to have a Liberty Veterans Association official on the show today, but it didn't work out this time. And if we do another Liberty show, I will try again. But if 34 men died on Liberty on the 8th of June of 1967, it's almost 100% likely, or even 50% sure, that some of those men were burned to death because the other weapon that Israel showered down upon the USS Liberty was napalm, which is jellied gasoline. And I can't think of a more horrible way to die. And it's my great pleasure to currently have that linked as number 3. So the pecking order as of today, which is June, let me think about this, June 2nd, I believe. And I'm pretty sure I'm right. And I'm pretty sure I'm exceedingly busy. But I was supposed to travel today, and I ended up, for reasons that don't need to be shared, I expect to be traveling tomorrow. And I'll find out, tomorrow. I'm on a short leash, whatever that means to you. Um, so we have 9/11 by extortion 17. 9/11, of course, uh, had George H.W. Bush as the head cheerleader. Extortion 17 had Barry Soetoro, and I'm saying Barry Soetoro because if he wants to sue me, then I think he should admit he's Barry Soetoro, not Obama. And then the USS Liberty, that's number 3 as of today, and number 4 will surprise everybody, and that's the only 4 I have so far. But the USS Liberty was attacked effectively by LBJ, who is a coward. And, you know, he took over from Kennedy after LBJ and some other guys. I'm a name dropper, by the way. If I mention their names, they drop, as in die. Here comes a name drop. What? Isn't that, what the fuck? Who's going to defend American military people if the U.S. military doesn't do it? And I'm not pointing the finger at Trump's white hats. It might be that they're listening right now. In fact, I guess I'm betting my life they are. And I think that's a compliment to Jenny, by the way. But yeah, the USS Liberty was attacked by LBJ, and LBJ is a goner. And did he have gonorrhea? I don't think so. I just think he's a goner. But he might have had it because he was not very careful about things he stuck his nose into. Okay, at number 4, and I always like to, share a little love with my own sister. The United States Senior Executive Service is currently number 4 behind the USS Liberty when it comes from treasons committed by presidents. And because I can't give a second award to George H.W. Bush because he's already paid the price from the tribunal that he went through. And so the second person in the pecking order of the United States Senior Executive Service was my own sister, Christine, Kristine, Marcy, Marcy. And that's the only 4 presidential ordered treasons of which I'm currently aware. But I will be paying attention over the next week. And if I have any more treasons committed by presidents while they were in office as the President of the United States of America, I will add to this list. So as of right now, 9/11, that was G.H.W. Bush. Extortion 17, Barry Soetoro, who many of you think is Obama. There's no such thing as Barack Hussein Obama. Just like there's no such thing as a marriage between a gay pedophile from Punahou and a man named Michael Levon Robinson, whose better name, or his more household recognizable name, is Michelle Obama. And Michelle has 3 legs. Let's leave it at that. There's not a whole lot of women that have 3 legs, for instance. Anyway, enough about that. I'm thinking that maybe if I get a vote or 2 for John Kerry, Kerry, he just recently came out of the woodwork and started talking about greenhouse gases. Well, I think the only gas he knows about is his self-produced methane. And if he's anything like LBJ, he probably likes sharing that with innocent victims in elevators once the doors are closed. So I'll leave it at that. And for Jenny, I have one question. I want to apologize for not telling you I would be talking about the USS Liberty Day, but do you have any questions about why I kept that sort of between myself and the people that listen to me, and I don't mean audiences. I mean, for instance, the white hats that are loyal to the Constitution and loyal to Trump. And so that's why I sort of did not publish it, because, once I speak, it's on me. But if I send what I'm going to speak about over the methods of which I can communicate, um, well, then they can be intercepted, and they're not gonna stop me. They've tried and they failed, just like
So,
they tried to sink the Liberty. Go ahead.
I was just going to answer your question in regards to the U. I did know you were going to speak about it because we spoke about it in our little chat, and then I let the audience know that on Friday we would be speaking about the USS Liberty and pushing the Waco show to the following Monday. So, yes, I did know you were going to speak about it. So, yes, thank you.
Oh, I told you I'm sleep deprived, so I can't remember a lot of things, but I can remember enough to put numerous presidents in a body bag. Uh, so far, George H.W. Bush, I think Barack Obama, if you want to take the easy way out, his name is Barry Soetoro, but is I don't know if he's in a body bag or deceased, but I do know if he's not already, he will be soon. And to honor him, tongue in cheek, of course, I've got a I've got a casket in the back of my 1996 extremely low mileage hearse, and that casket, I haven't written Obama's real name on it yet because nobody would know his real name unless they've listened to the Jenny show. Um, but if his remains were entrusted to my disposal, I would be willing to pick up his slimy remains from wherever his tribunal was held or is going to be held. And so, yes, thanks for correcting me. I guess I did tell you that. Uh, but I've been so busy lately, and I've been very busy today and yesterday. And I'm not too busy to have you open up questions and answers if you'd like to about the Liberty or any other subject on which I've spoken on Jenny's show. Over to you, Jenny.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Field. So we spoke
Yeah.
about you were going to have a gentleman. Unfortunately, wasn't able to come on the show. That was a part of the USS Liberty, or knew about it. I think he was on the USS Liberty, correct? Can you tell
Well,
us a little bit about
he's in a
your converse?
yes. I
Can you tell
called.
us? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I know what you're going to ask. Go ahead. No, ladies first.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say if you could speak a little bit on the conversation that you guys had, because I know you guys spoke.
Yes, and he was willing to come on, but I've been so busy, and some people would say I'm too busy for my own health. Like I was 1 week off for my haircut today. That's not a good sign. Um, and I did talk to the man, and I won't mention his name, although I have it and I have his phone number. And you knew I was going to communicate with him, but you didn't know how busy I would be today. But I think it's actually working out better that he's not on the show with us today because he's unfamiliar with your techniques. He really is unfamiliar with who I am and what I do and why I do it and how come the deep state and the globalist and the Jesuits at the Vatican, not in your neighborhood church, but how come those three evil groups can't get me to shut up? Well, they tried, didn't they? I was arrested on the 4th of November of 2019, and that was to shut me up. Well, here it is, the 2nd of June of 2025, and I would just ask the deep state, the globalist, And the judge down in Florida who wouldn't let me come home to say goodbye to Denise before she died, his name was Judge Dan Casey. And anyway, how do you like me now, Judge Casey? Yeah, anyway, he tried to shut me up. He tried to, he, I think he believed that if he let me go to Wisconsin, that I would end up being a flight risk. Well, that guy is sort of daffy, or maybe he's got his head up his cranium. Oh, wait a minute. His cranium is his head. Maybe he's got his cranium up his anus. Um, because I am not a flight risk. I flew fast moving aircraft for 38 years and I never crashed a single time, unlike that dipshit named John McCain. No offense to dipshits, but he crashed 5 aircraft and he only had about 1/7 of my flight time. So, and he also needed to have a private tutor to get out of, meaning graduate from the U.S. Naval Academy in the class of 1958. And I graduated from that school in 1971. And I didn't need a personal tutor. I got through on my own merits, which is a surprise to me because I was a lackluster student in high school when I was in public schools, like the governor of Wisconsin. Uh, he thinks they're pretty good. Well, he apparently hasn't read that Donald Trump shut down the Department of Education, and I'm trying to shut down Governor. Let me think of his name. I don't even like his name. I can't think of his name. Oh, wait a minute. Tony Evers, Evers. And another governor that tried to keep me away from my wife when they knew for sure, because I appeared in a Zoom hearing, which was broadcast live, and it was also put on YouTube. I, I, I never was a flight risk. I never ever got permission to see my wife before she died, which she did on the 30th of December of 2020. So here it is on the 2nd of June of 2025, and I'm letting Governor DeSantis and Governor Evers and Judge Dan Casey of Florida's 17th district. Pardon me, I'm going to take a sip of hot water. Yeah, well, those guys have been publicly advised that not only am I speaking their names, but I intend to have their ass. Over to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Fields. All right, everybody, if you guys have questions for Fields, please feel free to raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. Or if you have a question for Fields, put it on the wall and you can't speak, I will read your question to Fields. All right, so I have one hand that I have unmuted. So Jay LeRae, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. You can ask Fields your question. Go ahead, Jay LeRae. Your mic is unmuted.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, Jenny, I hit it by mistake. I'm shopping. I'm choking, but thank you, Phil.
Oh, you don't have a question for Fields?
No, I'm shopping
Okay.
and I was choking at that time. Sorry, but love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, here's one on the wall. Okay, everybody, if you have a question for Fields, many of you reached out to me asking what happened to our show on Friday. So he's here. Ask your questions, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be related to the USS Liberty. It can. It doesn't have to, but he's here. So let's ask the questions if you have them. So Field, here's one from Grace, 4343. Question: it seems like DJT is really putting out information, key markers. I think he's going to be the EBS in a way. In your opinion, do you think the midterms will take place? Thank you.
Well, that's an open question. I mean, nobody knows what Trump is going to do. I got a text message from somebody I've known for 13 years, and he asked the dumbest question I've ever heard of. He said, "When is Donald Trump going to open up about XYZ?" Nobody knows. That's how he works. He'll give you little tidbits, but as the timing, that would put certain people at risk. So the timing is shared between Trump and God, with God doing the heavy lifting, and then Trump doing some heavy lifting also, and doing what he thinks is appropriate based on real-time intelligence. You know, anybody that's going to try to second guess what Trump is going to do and when he's going to do it is purely wasting their time and not listening. He does it when he wants to do it, and that's not going to change. It's called tactical advantage. I hope that answers the lady's question, assuming it's a lady. If it was a man, same deal.
Yeah, it was. And also too, everybody, Trump he has told us, everybody, we are not going to give our enemy our next move. You can't give your enemy your next move when we're in war, everybody, right? You got to appear weak when you are strong. So it's just you just gotta follow him, because yes, I agree, he is giving us more direct information. He's speaking more directly about things, not so cryptic or coded. But yes, follow Donald Trump for sure, you guys. If you guys are questioning who to listen to or who to follow, get information, watch Donald Trump and his administration, and stay out of the Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, Pam Bondi bullshit, because it's bullshit. And now we've got the P. Diddy bullshit coming on, and now people are stirring up the Plantier bullshit. It's all noise, everybody. So I can't tell you enough. I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm sorry. It's because I give a shit that I don't want you guys to fall for it, because I've seen people that have been in this movement with us, walking the same walk. Now they're listening to the black pilling, the doom and gloom, and they're starting to believe that stuff. And to me, that is terrifying to see, because the information they're putting out there to people is absolutely dangerous. So, Circle out. What's up? I'm going to unmute your mic. Go ahead and ask Field your question, Circle. Go ahead. Go ahead, Circle. Your mic is unmuted. Are you there, Circle? Hello. Can't hear you. Glad to see you over here on Telegram. He'll be back, everybody. All right, let's see. Let's see if we got another comment here for you, Field, or a question. All right, here's one from Perpetual Pam. Why does Field believe that the Dinar Chronicles is truthful about medbeds being real and ready to go?
Well,
that's for you, Field.
Yeah, no, I understand it. But I've been monitoring Dinar Chronicles for 5 years, and there's a lot of people that are frustrated with it's called Intel Dinar Chronicles. A lot of people are frustrated because they accuse Dinar Chronicles of kicking the can down the road, and it appears that sometimes they do. But as you already spoke about Trump saying he's not going to announce his next move, and you heard me say tactical advantage, in other words, Donald Trump is protecting his tactical and strategic advantage. So, but why I believe that the med beds are going to be made available soon is they've already been distributed across the United States of America, east and west and north and south. And there's either 6,000 or 10,000 already pre-placed, in many cases, on obsolete or abandoned military properties, which can be, come on board literally with the turn of a key. And also, I believe in Donald Trump, and I believe that when he spoke in a city in Ohio about 3 years ago, and he was talking about Whirlpool appliances like washers and dryers, I think that was a little bit of a trick as in a TF. I think what was really going on, can I prove it? No, I can't. Donald Trump doesn't provide proof of his very difficult to determine chess moves until they are no longer at risk if the word gets out. But what was allegedly being built at the Whirlpool appliance factory in that city in Chicago, and you know, people could Google Whirlpool leadership or management in Ohio, and they'd find out what the city name was. But what they were really building alongside washers and dryers and other home appliances, they were building med beds. And the med beds are currently still in production around the world, and 1,000 a day are being built. And I cannot prove it to whoever asked the question, but I keep up with the Dinar Chronicles every day, and I know, I think I know, I'm confident I know what is likely to be true and what is eyewash, or whatever you call it. I guess some people would say misinformation. And I don't knowingly repeat any misinformation. That's a little jumbled up there, but that would be my answer, Jenny. And maybe that person, if they want to ask another question, they can, or we can go on to another questioner, if that's good English, which it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Go. Okay, so SERCO out came back in. Can you now speak? Go ahead, SERCO.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yay!
I got a phone call at exactly the same time you said something, and it just wiped me out. I had to get back in. So, question is maybe kind of a long one. I mean, I didn't miss an Abel Danger show since MH370, and I think I read everything that Field and David ever wrote. Hi, Field. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm old, but I'm ready for a question. Go ahead.
Okay. It seems like we talk about continuity of government quite a bit, and it sure seems like I remember that's precisely why your sister created the SES, was under the guise and pretense of continuity of government. Not to say that there wasn't already an existing form of continuity of government, which I believe we might have gone into somewhere along the lines of October 22nd, 2015, when Joseph Dunford came in. My curiosity is that did we let the quote unquote Biden administration play out under the SES continuity of government? Was the auto pen used more or less by the SES and SERCO, the middleman?
Well, that makes perfect sense to me. But the SES, which my sister started, and let me look on my list. I think I already talked about that because that's number 4 on the known treasons by a president. But in the case of the United States Senior Executive Service, yeah, that was to undermine every form of your bureaucracy in the United States government, meaning the elected government and the appointed government. But the Senior Executive Service should have been named Treason Incorporated, because that's what they did with a stroke of a pen, and it wasn't a auto pen. It was somebody having a wet pen in his or her slimy hands. And the Senior Executive Service was all about disestablishing the elected and appointed halls of government in favor of being a one-stop shop for treason. And if anybody at the United States Senior Executive Service doesn't like my truthful disclosure, they can come over to Plum City and join the long line of people that want to kiss my ass, if they so elect. I don't expect they'll be coming. But yes, the continuity of government has always had a plan. It's not something that was invented by my sister, who I believe has been dealt with following a tribunal in January of 2024. But the continuity of government raised its ugly head shortly after, well, it was in January, about 3 years ago, because Donald Trump allowed people to admit their guilt in treasonous acts, and then he would pardon them if they were truthful. And he he arranged for a train to leave Washington, D.C., heading for a specific base. And I think it's, well, I don't think, I know its name was Mount Weather in Virginia. And that was a very secure government, place they could move the government in times of severe corruption or war. They could get the sitting government to Mount Weather in Virginia. And there was a secure compound there that the elected government could escape to in times of conflict or outright war. Well, on the way to the secure place, those people that had already admitted their crimes to Donald Trump, their train was derailed by a pre-placed heavy truck that broadsided the locomotive and knocked it off the rails, excuse me. The rack reminded me of something else, which is a combination of train and track. But anyway, that's my answer about the continuity of government. No such thing. The senior executive service wanted to interrupt the continuity of government, and that's what they did when they knocked that train off the track. And I don't have the date right in front of me or even in my mind, but it was about 3 days after a person who used to be the CEO of Northwest Airlines when I was there. He later became the CEO of United Healthcare, and he had just become the CEO of the large corporation that runs the country, meaning the United States of America, the railroad system. And I can picture the guy right now because I worked for him when he was CEO of Northwest, but his name escapes me. But if anybody wanted to know as soon as possible what the guy's name was, if you Googled or used any other search engine, CEOs of Northwest Airlines, in a time, I'm trying to get this fairly accurate, but during the years I'm dating myself, between the years of 2001 and 2007, his name should come up. And am I suggesting he's a bad guy? No, when I worked for him, I thought he was a good guy. But the railroad itself and the command structure or apparatus for the railroad didn't cause that derailment. Bad people, and many of the bad people are former members of the deep state or current members, if there's any left, of the United States Senior Executive Service. They are our enemy, and they are not our friends. Now, that's a convoluted answer, and I apologize for it. And I just remembered the CEO of Northwest, Richard Anderson. Then he went to United Healthcare, Then he went to the railroad, whatever the main railroad is. There's only one main railroad company in the United States. And when I last was aware of his position in industry, he was in charge of that railroad. It was the very railroad that got derailed to interrupt continuity of government, and the people that were honest with President Trump and admitted their guilt. And people that know things become unpopular. Bill Cooper, he was unpopular, so two sheriff's deputies, not the sheriff itself or himself or herself, they shot Bill Cooper in his driveway.
I remember it.
Oh, you do? Great.
Yes, sir.
And you just witnessed me remembering Richard Anderson's name, even though I've been sleep deprived for a little while. When I was younger, it was no problem. That's why I used to thrive on international flights from Minneapolis to Europe. We'd take off somewhere between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., and then we'd fly all night and land in Europe. And I really enjoyed that flying, but I'm not here to talk about my flying career. It's already established and it's printed, and I can provide the print during the next show, which is going to be Monday of next week. But Serco, did I answer your question before I give you one thing you didn't ask? In other words, did I shed some light where you needed it to be shed?
Yes, just one clarification, if you can remember. I'm sure you can. I've tried to piece it together since the day you talked about it. But when I think it was October 22nd, 2015, when Joseph Dunford, Commandant of the Marine Corps, pretty much rendered Obama useless, is what I could see. And I'm trying to picture.
Oh.
I know we talked about y'all talked about the Red Switch Network. Did he lose the Red Switch Network as a result of Dunford coming in, or did that happen before?
That's a very good question, and I'll try to get an answer. But do you know where Joseph Dunford is today and what position he holds in the U.S. government? Is that something you're knowledgeable about?
I understand he's head of the Treasury, right, in Reno?
Yes, that's right. And the Treasury is at the Reno Sparks Indian community, which is indeed a reservation. And what that means is that the corrupt officials in the U.S. government can't even set foot on that ground because it's sovereign territory and it belongs to Native Americans. So that's sort of up yours to people, like it's interesting you go by SERCO. I would like to shed a little truth on SERCO. The majority stockholder or the only stockholder, and it doesn't matter to me which is the truth, is Prince William, who is not going to ever be in any royal lineage because his biological sperm donor was King Juan Carlos of Spain. And so, yes, Diana was his mother, but whatever that decrepit old geezer was that was allegedly, I think he's King Charles now. Yeah, king my ass. There's no such thing as a king in England. Just a bunch of, the proper term, according to Merriam-Wagner's dictionary, would be bastards, because at least as early as Queen Victoria, there's been nobody but bastards running England, posing as royals. Well, if anybody is in the royal lineage other than Princess Diana, I would invite any of them or all of them to come to Plum City and get in the ever increasing line of people that have been afforded the opportunity to kiss my ass. Over to you, Serco.
Well, the reason I named SERCO on there is because ever since you've educated me on SERCO, I've done my best to try to draw attention to the problem. I also think I understood SERCO in all the conversations that we had. I mean, as the ultimate middleman. So the conclusion that I'm drawing in my head is that when even Donald Trump talks about whoever the people behind the auto pen, my mind goes immediately to the SES. And right after that, it goes to SERCO, who is the middleman. And if it is William or Charles, I mean, are we talking about, we're leading back to one person? Are we leading back to, is it going to prove who's been in control of America? I mean, all this time, at least since 1913, probably since the Revolutionary War.
Well, when you say all this time, I think you mean between 1871, when the Organic Act of 1871 established the United States of America as a colony under English rule, and 2024, or very early 2025, when Donald Trump broke the chains of the criminal treatment of the United States citizens by the royals in England. And, before anybody thinks that I'm a little tough on England, I'm not. I'm tough on SERCO. I actually was married to an English lady for 5.5 years before she died, while I was denied, which this is, it's not me crying in my hot water right now. I'm not crying, and I'm trying to put them in hot water, which they are. But SERCO, if anybody wants to learn about SERCO, go to YouTube and just put in SERCO, the biggest company you've never heard of. And the YouTube will come up that will paint a bleak picture, very accurate bleak picture, of how SERCO was involved in colonizing America and committing premeditated mass murder in the event of MH370. And Prince William, who's not really royal because he's the bastard, no offense, Prince Abel, but he was sitting on the Maldives, he and his wife that used to have a fake baby bump. Gee, I wonder why. It doesn't matter. We'll get to that later. Prince William was in the Maldives, and that would indicate to my satisfaction that the people that electronically hijacked MH370 at a precise navigational waypoint called BITOD, BITOD, SERCO took control of that and reprogrammed the autopilot, which was a Boeing uninterruptible autopilot, and redispatched it to go back to Kuala Lumpur. And I have an idea what they wanted to do in Kuala Lumpur that was very much like 9/11, and it would have shocked and awed the people if it had flown in remotely controlled into the Petronas, Petronas towers. But fortunately for MH370 and the people that were already dead, and I can explain that real briefly. When anybody would access the BUAP on any BUAP equipped aircraft, the first two things that happen is, first, every outgoing communication device is strangled, which means they will not work. Secondly, the ATI, the air trans, the air, I'm going to try ATI, transducer indicator. I think that's correct, but it distributes poison into the cabin pressure system according to a 3-position selection for the desired result. Selection 1 would be to calm people down, both the crew members and the passengers. Dosage number 2 would be to put everybody to sleep, which would be the passengers, because the crew members have available oxygen and the passengers would not. And level number 3, which occurred on 9/11 and MH370, but not MH17, that would be a dose sufficient to kill everybody that's breathing air in the cabin of, in this case, MH370. So I think I like your name, SERCO, and I hope that between you and I, we can get the senior executive service to admit who they've been working for and in which country their handlers exist. Until I get corrected by the senior executive service, I will just assume it has been SERCO in the United Kingdom. Over to you, SERCO.
Well, I think ATI was air tranquilizer injector. Is that correct?
Yes, and if I misspoke on the T, it's air tranquilizing injector, and it puts the poison into the pressurized cabin air. So thank you for reminding me and correcting me.
It wasn't an intent to correct. I understand. I understand it's a lot to keep up with. Just one more thing. I mean, one of the things I always try to do when I'm trying to educate people on SERCO is I ask the question, who in their right minds would outsource America's most sovereign functions to a British company? I don't care if they are your quote unquote allies. Why would you outsource your United States Visa and Passport Office? Gee, I wonder how we got Obama. Why would you outsource your United States Patent and Trademark Office? Why would you outsource private prisons? Why would you outsource the air traffic control? No, gee, I wonder how 9/11 happened. I mean, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. And I ask those questions because I want people to ask themselves that question. Why? Why? Who? And by the way, who gave them the authority to do that? We delegated that. And I love this. What I love about David, he told us this all the time. And I forget the Latin term for it, but you can't redelegate a delegated responsibility, and that's exactly what these people have been doing, and redelegating these responsibilities to a private company, and it's not even American. Now, to me, it's incensing, and I want other Americans to hear what I'm saying right now and what you're saying, and get as incensed as I am, and look back at things that have happened and start connecting the dots.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up or opened this can of worms. Whoever allowed SERCO to take over the U.S. military weapons, that's a case of treason right there. If anyone in America authorized SERCO to replace the duly elected or appointed CEOs of these powerful enterprises. And, is SERCO going to have their ass? Yeah, they are. And, how is that going to happen? I don't know, but I'm talking to you directly now, SERCO, and I mean the SERCO human. It's my understanding that Trump's loyal military white hats listen to many of the shows at Jenny's private, it's called TROA, the Revival of America podcast, because this is a very good and very reliable source of information that President Trump and the military white hats must be aware of. And I say must because they've been listening to me on Jenny's show for quite a while. Over to you, Serco.
Well, one more thing, and I'll let somebody else speak. I would say that he's very aware, and he's more or less dealt with them. And what I go back to is, I think it was 2018 when or 17 or 18 when he did the capitulation tour. The picture of Trump in a blue suit and a red tie in Winston Churchill's chair was a pretty good indicator of either I got him or I'm coming for you. Because the other thing that I guess the people need to understand is that it's Winston Churchill's grandsons that run SERCO.
That's an interesting point, and I was not aware of that. So thanks for sharing that with all of us, including me.
I will post the picture I still have the picture. I'll post it on the wall here in a little bit. But it's to me, and there's a mention in the Q drops about a chair, and I can't remember exactly what it says, but I think that's Trump pretty much showing that it happened. But I mean, with him sitting in, and now what I don't understand, if that was Winston Churchill's chair, is it now Charles's chair? Is that how that works?
That's I do not know the answer to that. That's a very good question. And hopefully one of the listeners listening to our discussion right now might have the answer, and they might forward the answer to Jenny, either publicly in front of the chat room or privately via an email to Jenny's email address, which she states at the beginning of most shows, including today's, I would think. So over to you, Serco. If you have any closing statements.
Well, just the piece of the puzzle I'm trying to work in my head right now was with the Pope and the chair that had the dates on it of 2017. So the chair became a big deal, and my mind went back to the chair that Trump sat in that was Winston Churchill's chair, which now I would assume is Charles's chair, and I could be wrong in that assumption. You know what they say about those.
Yes,
so that
makes an ass of me.
So it just kind of seems to me that, I don't know, I know that Juan has hinted that the person behind the auto pen was Hunter. Maybe so, but I think he's looking for the group that's behind the auto pen, and to me that seems like the SES and SERCO, and therefore Charles. And I think that's what will shock most people.
We're soon going to find out, right, Field?
Yeah, it's all going to come to a conclusion in the not too distant future. And I got a email today from somebody, I can't even remember because I get so many a day, every day. And you guys can hear my notifications going off during this show. And so I'm getting notifications coming through while I'm trying to speak. But yes, I think that SERCO is going to have their ass handed to them. They are the original hijackers of MH370. And before the United States Air Force took control of MH370 by going through a back door that Prince William obviously didn't know about, because he is the majority shareholder, if not the single shareholder of SERCO. And he was at the crime scene when MH370 flew by the Maldives. They flew over the south end of the Maldives with 239 dead passengers. And then there's a goon out there named Ashton Forbes, I think. I could have my goons mixed up, but he claims that he is the expert on MH370. And what he wasn't aware of when he made that claim was that at 9 a.m. on the morning of the 9th of March of 2014, if that's the correct date, could have been 2017. It's a matter of record. If anybody just looks up at a search engine, if anybody were to look up MH370 Diego Garcia, it would show that at a certain time on a certain date, MH370 landed under the control of a Boeing uninterruptible autopilot, and it landed at Diego Garcia. And contrary to what Ashton Forbes, if that's the guy's name, I don't remember people that fib or talk about stuff that's not true. But anyway, I sure appreciate, Jenny, some of the people that are in your chat room that either corroborate stuff I've said in the past, which is the case with this gentleman, SERCO, or they stimulate me with stuff I don't understand. So I can seek the truth about other issues they raise. And this SERCO, whoever he is, and I don't need to know who he is, in time I will find out, not by effort, but by contact. But I just think this shows the value of your podcast, Jenny. So thank you. And thank you, Mr. SERCO, for enlightening us today.
Thank you, Field. Thank you, Serco.
My name is Barry, and look back at the belt buckle 037, and we've talked. So thank you so much, and I have some more questions. I'm gonna let people go ahead and answer. If there's any airtime, I'll drop back in. But
Thank you,
y'all.
Serco.
Okay.
Okay,
well,
so thank you. I've seen some people come up here and I have unmuted your mic. I think it was LN, Pom Pom, and then Trump Train. I just saw you pop up here. I didn't get a chance to unmute your mic. So if you three have a question for Field, please feel free to raise your hand again and I'll unmute your mic. I just thought that was kind of weird, just like you guys disappeared. But here in the meantime, Field, I have a question for you. So we spoke at pretty lengthy regarding the USS Liberty, right? In my little chat over there. And I think you spoke on it. It was like about an hour and a half, but we've only got maybe about 20 more minutes. But can you maybe, I know you've talked a little bit about what happened to the ship and your conversation with the gentleman that was a part of the ship. Can you maybe, because I know you went into a little bit in length, what happened that day on the USS Liberty? Can you maybe talk a little bit more on what really happened that day besides LBJ, giving the order to sink the damn ship?
Yeah, and he actually verbatim quote, LBJ, who was the president on that day, said to the command structure of the U.S. Navy, I want that goddamn ship on the ocean floor. Now that indicates he was willing to premeditate the killing of 274 active duty members on the ship. And Israel, and Donald Trump has said numerous times, Israel is last, which might indicate that Israel is going to be dealt with in a way that's not conducive to their loyalty or alliance with the United States of America. If Israel was willing to attack a U.S. Navy ship on the 8th of June of 1967, while it was dead in the water, which means not moving, and if they were willing to attack it with napalm and rockets while posing as Egyptian fighter aircraft, which they weren't, they were Israelis, well, that is treason. And, the level of treason is either treason or not treason. There's not degrees of treason. So I'm working on a succession or a series of the 10 greatest treasons against the United States of America. And so far, 9/11 was done by George H.W. Bush. Extortion 17 was done by Barry Soetoro, or as some people call him, Obama, the gay pedophile from Punahou School in Honolulu, Hawaii. So we got the USS Liberty, which was LBJ, and the United States Senior Executive Service, which was also GHW Bush. But really, I think my sister should take the spot for that mess, meaning the bureaucracy called the United States Senior Executive Service, because she effectively created it under the orders of George H.W. Bush. But did you want some more details about the Liberty? Because I've got more, but I would also be
real
more
quick,
than happy.
real quickly,
Yeah,
I've got
go ahead.
Ellen. Ellen had raised her hand earlier, so I'm going to call on her. No, I was just you did briefly go over the four treasonous things so far. You're doing that contest of 10. You did give us the four. I was just curious, maybe after you could close us out with a little bit more information on what exactly happened that day on the USS Liberty. So I'm going to have Ellen ask her question to you real quickly, and then you can. We've got about 15 more minutes, and then you can maybe close us out with that. So Ellen, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead and ask Field your question.
Hello, that was an accident, but thank you for everything you all do. Love you guys. Thanks,
Thank you.
Field. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, Field. All right, Field. So, okay, so go ahead. If you know, you may not know exactly what happened on that specific day of that ship being sank. Did the gentleman talk to you about that, or do you maybe know some insight on what exactly happened that day of the USS Liberty being sunk?
That's the whole point. It did not sink. And my way of rationalizing that, it's an act of God when a president and the Secretary of Defense, Robert S. McNamara, and the government of Israel and the commander of the USS Amberjack, which was standing off the port beam of the USS Liberty, at the heart of the envelope to fire a torpedo to bring down, meaning sink, the USS Liberty. If the Israelis, the strong language alert, here we go. Okay, count to three. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got numerous American people, and the fourth one is the captain of the USS. Now I got to remember the name. Oh, Amberjack. That was the submarine that was standing off the port beam of the Liberty, and it had been tasked to launch a torpedo to finish off the attack. And I just realized I forgot the F-bomb alert, but here it goes. The Israelis fucked up the attack. And so an American submarine captain, the USS, whatever I said, Amberjack, they launched a torpedo right at the heart of the envelope, meaning the best probability of kill. And it didn't kill the submarine, it didn't kill the Liberty, because unfortunately for the Amberjack and LBJ and Robert S. McNamara, whose middle name S is for strange, this is a very strange incident because LBJ, the Israeli Air Force, and the Amberjack, they all fucked up the mission. And who saved the people? I mean, yes, there were 34 that died, and 34 from 274 leaves 140 survivors, many of whom, no, I don't know if I got that right. It's 274 minus 34 would be 240 survivors, of which 170 were injured. And, some of those injuries may well have been napalm. And my heart goes out to the survivors of the Liberty, and I hope that the military white hats that may be listening to this lesson on the USS Liberty can get justice for the survivors and the surviving family members of those who died on that day as ordered. They were ordered by LBJ to die. And yet LBJ and his group of inept clowns, they fucked it all up. And that's why the USS Liberty survived to fight another day. And then ultimately it was scuttled on purpose with authority, with proper authority from the U.S. Navy. And it's out in the Indonesian ocean somewhere, and it's a dive, meaning scuba diving place where people can go down and actually witness what is left, which is the entire ship. They might have taken some things out of it before they scuttled it, but it's serving as a scuba diving destination in the Indian Ocean. Over to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Field. All right, everybody. I don't see any more questions on the wall. If you guys have a question for Field, we've got about 10 minutes left. If not, we will close this out and we will come back next Monday where Field will. What are we going to talk about next Monday, Field? You want to tell the audience?
Yes, we're gonna talk about Hillary Clinton and my own sister, Christine Marcy, being two traitors that killed a bunch of people at the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, many of them children, which really makes me aggressive in holding them accountable. And the Murrah building, a year after Hillary and Christine attacked and killed people at Waco, the Branch Davidian compound, then they attacked and killed a bunch of people at the Alfred P. Murrah building, a federal office building in Oklahoma City. And there was a kindergarten class on the ground floor. And I believe that all the kindergarten kids died. That's my belief. But since I'm doing the show with you next week, I will make sure I find that and establish that as accurate, which I believe it is. But you might understand why, Hillary and my sister Christine had alternative lifestyles, but they liked each other. Good. They can go to hell together. And Christine is not worthy to be called a McConnell, but fortunately she married somebody. And that's why her last name is no longer McConnell. And I don't miss her at all. That seems rather harsh, doesn't it? That's too bad. You traffic children, you commit treason, you're not a relative of mine anymore. Over to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Field. Okay, I have Patty Wonder. She raised her hand. Patty, do you have a question for Field? Go ahead.
Hi, I wanted to know, I'm new to listening to you. I've listened to a few shows and I've heard about the Abel danger. And I just wondered if there's a way to listen to the old ones.
Well, we are trying to get those resurfaced. Field, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, there's a gentleman whose name was, past tense, Gordon Butler, and he died in March of this year at age 51. He has in his control, which means now his executor, and I don't know if his executor is his brother or his mother, but I've got both those names, and I've got a lady that, well, I don't have a lady. In fact, I don't, I'm not somebody that would consider a lady a possession. I would think a lady is a lady and they need to be respected. But there is a lady in Canada, and I'll not be any more specific than that. There is a lady in Canada who has the name and is a very good researcher, and I believe that that lady will make contact with Gordon Butler's executor, whether it's his brother or his mother, and see if we can get the entire archive of radio shows, which would be the intellectual property of me and Gordon Butler. However, Gordon Butler is deceased, so I would like to think that Gordon Butler's brother and or mother would see that it would be quite a credit to the memory of Gordon Butler, who, if anybody from the Abel Danger days remembers a person, we used to have fake names for everybody, just like the government does. They think they're so smart. They're a bunch of dumb fuckers. And I'm talking about not this administration. Finally, we have a president worth saluting, which reminds me, that's why I got out of the military in 1993, because William Jefferson Rockefeller was the president. I just refused to salute that useless piece of baggage. So I got out of the North Dakota Air National Guard, and I continued flying for the airline. And, I've put a lot of time and effort into doing something that would cause some people to cease to exist, like Bill Cooper. And yet here I am, and I'm still doing what God asked me to do in Psalm 94:16 and Ephesians 5:11. And so I'm going to continue doing it, and they're not going to be able to shut me up. It's way too late for that. Now, I've already forgotten the question. Did you ask me a question, Jenny, or was that somebody else?
No, it was somebody else. It was Patty. She was just asking, Patty wonders if there was any way she could get a hold of the Abel Danger past recordings. And I told her that we were working on that. And you did answer that question, because we do have somebody working on that as we speak. So yes, you answered that question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jenny. I've been very busy lately. It was 3 weeks ago. I worked five sequential days of 18 hours effort. And, I do what I do because God asked me to expose evil. I don't get paid for it. I could pay a price if you consider being killed, paying a price. But on the other hand, there's no price I wouldn't pay if I had to that would allow me to sleep at night if I wasn't exposing evil enemies of the United States of America. And I've listed I've listed 4 of the top 10. Eventually, I'll have 10 top treasons against the United States of America. And I'd be very surprised if, well, by definition, if it's treason against America, it has to be by an American or an American corporation. Over to you, Jenny.
All right, everybody. We've got 5 more minutes left. I've got 2 hands here. I do want to remind everybody we have John Baxter coming on this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He is back. Derek is back with us. He has been gone as well. John just got back from the UK. Great things happening with the anti-aging medbed with John, as well as Derek has been out traveling, doing speaking events, but he is back, everybody, and he's going to, I think, have some great information for us. I've got some questions for him, and I'm going to try to sneak in this little Q&A with him. So let's cross our fingers that happens, and that will happen at 6:30 Central Standard Time tonight. So Blues Monkey Joe, I'm going to unmute your mic. Go ahead and ask Field your question. You can close us out with your question. Go ahead, Blues. Go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. Okay. All right, everybody. Field, we'll see you back here on Monday. I might be traveling, everybody, so I'll keep you posted on that. If it's not Monday, Field, it'll be Wednesday. So I'll have more of my itinerary probably later tomorrow, and I'll let you know. So with that, everybody, Field, we'll see you back here next week. Either Monday or Wednesday, everybody. I'll let you know. Does that work for you,
That's
Field?
fine with. I'll find out. I'm going to be traveling internationally, I believe, but my schedule changes at the drop of a hat. But I will stay in touch with you daily, and if I find that I have a scheduling conflict for whatever you decide on, which I think was Monday, or no, not Monday, Wednesday, I will let you know privately. The message from Field to Jenny, and no one else will know, except for the military white hats who probably watch a lot of what I do. I hope they do, because they might find out who's trying to kill me. Nobody recently, by the way. I think enough of them have learned their lesson the hard way that I'm a good guy not to fuck with.
Amen. Amen. And everybody, I just want to give a little bit of a clarification. So when I'm talking about if you have a story or a journey to tell and you want your voice heard on the podcast, give me a little synopsis of your story. You're going to come on and tell your story, not me. I'm not going to tell your story for you. You just let me know what your story is. Now, obviously, we got to vet these things because there's a lot of people that like to, they're just fake individuals, right? They're just trying to make up a bullshit story. Unfortunately, yes, I have those coming in here as well, sending me those kind of emails. So if you have a story that you've been wanting to try to tell, you've been afraid to because of work, family, whatever, being censored, whatever it may be, we all went through that, right? At the beginning of this, or however long you've been in this journey, censorship, right? That's not us here. That's not me here. So send me a little synopsis of your story. I'll get in contact with you. We can talk a little bit about it, and you will come on yourself and you will talk about your story, your journey, whatever it may be. So, because remember, everybody, it's your stories, your journeys that are going to help shape this new world that we're walking into. So don't be afraid, everybody. Fear is a liar, and your voices and stories need to be heard. So with that, everybody, I'd like to say God bless you all. Have a great rest of your day. We will see you back here for John Baxter with Anti-Aging MedBed at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for Derek Johnson. And Field, we'll talk to you in the other chat, and God bless you. Have a great day.
God bless you too, Jenny. Thanks for allowing me to speak. Bye-bye.
Always, Field. Mi casa, su casa. Have a great day.